Hey guys, today it's another solo poddy, episode 11, or is it 12? Sorry that I don't know that. Today it's just going to be me. We're going to be answering a few questions that I posed to the community, also just generally to people on social media. Joe is away doing some family things, bit of a theme. And yeah, let's just see where we go. We've got some absolute epic questions this time. I've got an absolute boatload, and I'm just going to see how it goes, rock and roll, and yeah, let's see what happens. So the first one: what if I don't want to be shredded or super fit? I just want to feel better. Is that enough? Wow, great question. Absolutely. Just feeling better in yourself, to me, is the most important and powerful thing when it comes to looking after yourself and getting in shape and improving the way that you take care of your body. Being shredded is good, right? It's fun. It can kind of represent health to a degree, although there is some argument to say that if you go too far, you're potentially going in the other direction. It feels good. There's more. You feel confident. There's an aesthetic to it, of course, but it doesn't necessarily correlate with just feeling better. The same with being super fit. To me, I want to be fit enough to play around with my kids, take on any physical challenge that comes my way within certain means, whether it's just general day-to-day stuff, just put up some bunk beds for the kids last night, whether it's just to go for a quick run, like jump in the sea, go for a surf, whatever it is. Whereas super fit, run an ultra marathon or do the Tour de France, that's not really necessary for the everyday person. So it kind of depends what is fit to you, what is shredded to you as well, right? For some people, it could be just kind of visible abs. For someone else, it could be being absolutely bone dry, ready to step on a bodybuilding stage. But yeah, I mean, feeling better to me, like I said, is the most important thing. When you start treating yourself well, you build those habits, you're eating better, you're sleeping better, you're working out, you will set a new baseline for yourself. And the way that you feel then, you will look back and think, wow, I can't believe I went through my life feeling that way when I could have felt this way without any drugs, any supplements, any crazy interventions, simply just treating your body the way that it should be treated as a human. Suddenly you start to realize, wow, I can feel incredible almost every single day. Once you get to that point and you feel better, you never want to go back. And that's one of the things, slightly off topic, but that's one of the things that's going to keep you doing the thing, because you feel so good and you don't want to go back to feeling the way that you did and lowering your baseline back to where it was before. Next question. I keep trying to do all the things at once and then crash. How do you stop doing that? We see this all the time with people that join Vibrant People. They've gone through this typical up and down cycle, so periods of intensity, something really intense, do all the things, strict diet, loads of exercise, all the supplements, all the biohacks, and then within a few weeks, one cog falls off, and then the whole thing collapses. And it's just repeating that cycle on and off, on and off, on and off. Now, doing all the things at once and then crashing, that is just as much a mindset thing more than anything else. So there's a couple of elements here. One is the all or nothing mindset. So going, we have to do everything in order to make this work. And if we can't do everything, then we'll do nothing at all. And that is that up and down cycle that people will go through. So one of the things I recommend is trying to work through that and trying to exist in that gray area and going, it doesn't have to be this specific, perfect way in order to work, and recognizing that doing nothing at all and potentially self-sabotaging is going to move you even further away from your goals. So imagine if you could live in that middle ground and be consistent in there, which is basically what I do and basically what our clients do. We build that baseline, we live in that middle ground, and we take consistent, imperfect action day after day after day after day. And the main thing that we do with our clients is get them out of that all or nothing mindset. So start moving away from black and white thinking and start moving to that imperfect action mindset. So practically, how do we actually take action on that and move away from that and stop trying to do everything at once? Well, I think one of the big things, and the problem with social media and just the media in general, is that we're getting bombarded with all this information all the time, right? Eat this way, all conflicting, train this way, try this supplement, try this hack. All these different things that are bombarding us, that are telling us they're going to kill us or save our lives. Lots of that is noise. In fact, the vast majority, 99.9% is noise. The reason that you hear all of that is because it sells, right? That's marketing. It's exciting, it's new, it's novelty, it's interesting, it catches people's attention. But the truth is that the boring stuff, the stuff that actually works and makes up the 95% of success, doesn't sell because it's so basic. However, it's highly, highly, highly effective. I think there's a workshop that I do with my clients called the Pyramid of Impact, and it's basically talking about a pyramid, fundamental things at the bottom, and then working up the pyramid. So at the base of the pyramid, you have things like eating whole foods, basic strength training, drinking enough water, doing steps. At the top of the pyramid, you have like the biohacks, the crazy supplements, the red light therapy, all those sort of things. It's not to say that those things at the top of the pyramid aren't valid or effective, but it's to say to start at the top rather than starting at the bottom, you're not going to get where you want to be. So what I suggest to this person who wants to try and do everything at once, which I imagine is do everything on the pyramid, is literally start at that foundation of the pyramid. Eat whole foods, single ingredient foods, right? Avoid processed foods. Do some kind of strength training, or I would even say even more fundamental is just do some kind of exercise, whatever it is, and get consistent, because consistency is the number one thing. Prioritize your sleep. Try and get 7 to 9 hours quality sleep. I would say focus on those 3 fundamental things for a matter of months, 2 to 3 months, before you add more complexity, and then add something else after that. Don't get lost in the intricacies. Oh, do I need to work out this certain way, or this amount of volume, or at this time? What do I eat before a workout? What do I eat afterwards? Forget the intricacies, forget the noise. Now, whenever you're tempted to do that, ask yourself, how many times have I followed that same path and crashed and burned? How many times have I repeated that? How long has it been going on for? And when you feel yourself tempted to do it, ask yourself, do I want to end up back at zero again in a few weeks? The answer is obviously going to be no. So then trust the process and trust the instinct of building up from the base first. I hope that makes sense. So the next one, how do you find time for training when you've got kids and work and no energy left? It's tough, okay? At the moment, I'm going through a really busy period of my life. We're opening a studio, a physical studio. Business is busier than ever. The kids are off school, they're on school holidays. We've got the third one due anytime now. We've just moved house. Everything is going off right now. And this has probably been one of the most difficult periods for a long time for me to actually get my workouts in. So this is what I do. Take minimum viable action. So that is basically, what is the absolute minimum action I can take to say today is a win? Could it be 5 minutes of push-ups? Could it be a 10-minute workout, 15 minutes? Grab 20 minutes outside in the yard, 15 minutes before the kids wake up and get up at the start of the day. So just seizing those little opportunities, and really, even, the pyramid we talked about before, stepping back even deeper. Like, what is the most fundamental thing I can do right now? Not worrying about like the exercises so much, the sets and the reps, just do something for a certain period of time. Obviously, I'm still eating, so the food is still fully under control, but the workouts are just take what I can when I get it, but most importantly, keep the flame alive. So do something almost every single day. So it could be going for a run, it could be doing some strength, it could be doing some stretching, but basically just keep that flame alive and use the time that you have available. There's going to be ebbs and flows in your life in terms of how much time you have to go and do things. There is an argument to say that you need to make the time, and that's almost another conversation. If you're not making it right now, then you need to try and make it. But there's going to be natural ebbs and flows. There's going to be a period in, let's say, 6 months where the baby's a bit older, the studio's up and running, everything's cruising, and I can have time to go back to a more considered routine and take more introspection and more effort in terms of how it's constructed. But for right now, I'm just every day just getting the minimum viable product done. If I can do more, fantastic, brilliant. Let's roll with that. But if I can't, then I'm just doing the minimum thing that I possibly can. And the most important thing with this is to recognize that you need, most importantly, just keep consistent with those baseline things. It's almost the same answer to the first question. You just got to keep consistent and keep it alive so that your baseline stays high. If you just give up it entirely because it's busy, and those periods are going to come up again and again and again and again, potentially it's perpetual for you if that's how you feel personally right now with work and family, then unless you solve it and do something, then years are going to pass with nothing changing, or a level that you've got to might drop and then it's going to be harder to raise it again. So my goal in these scenarios is purely just maintain my high baseline using those same fundamentals from the pyramid of impact. And if you want to set me to send you that workshop, just drop me a DM or a message in Instagram saying impact, and I'll shoot that over to you. What do you eat when life's busy and you don't have time to be good? I eat exactly the same as I do when life isn't busy. Fundamental rules or principles would be better around food. They are the most important habits you can build when it comes to your health and fitness journey. Food is going to be your biggest lever, and on your busiest days, you're still going to be eating and you're still going to be making food choices. To me, there is no be good or be bad. I just eat the foods that I want to eat. Sometimes there's optimal, sometimes there's less optimal. But time does not come into the equation. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions around eating healthy, if that's what we're going to call it, is that eating healthy equals more time, which is simply not true at all. You could buy a pre-mixed bag of salad, put some olive oil on, and buy some pre-cooked chicken, which is just as instant as, if not quicker, than buying a ready meal that you cook in the microwave or a bag of cookies or whatever it is. The misconception around cooking and healthy food is that it takes longer. Obviously, if you prepare your ingredients from scratch and you want to make a complex meal, it's going to take longer, but that could be true of an unhealthy meal too. You could make a really unhealthy pizza at home that takes you an hour to prepare and cook. Doesn't mean, it's got no correlation with it being healthy or not, other than the fact that we are trending towards using our own ingredients, cooking at home, and those single ingredients. But you can still implement those same rules wherever you are. To me, hearing the words too busy to be good, that's nothing to do with food. That's a mindset piece, just like many of these things. That's a labeling of this is bad and this is good, or I'm on plan or I'm off plan, dependent on external circumstances, dependent on the time, the pressure, the stress, the emotions. What I suggest for this person is to actually start thinking that this is just life. Everything that happens, almost a stoic mindset, anything that happens externally, even including my emotions, they shouldn't influence the decisions that I make when it comes to my food. That's not to say you have to live like a monk. You can enjoy every single meal you eat, but try to get away from that, I guess, again, all or nothing thinking of being on plan or off plan, or being good or being bad. Food exists on a spectrum, and you want to trend towards making better choices more often. The more often you make worse choices or less optimal choices, the further you're going to move away from your goals. So see it more as a sliding scale versus like on or off. And also try to, if busyness and time is the issue that makes you move to bad food, then actually try to find foods that you enjoy that are super convenient, that are super fast to prepare, and get a shitload of it in your house so that it's ready to go. and that you're less tempted during those busy periods to go for less healthy options or less optimal options. How do you deal with mates or family who take the piss when you try and be healthier? Yeah, okay. So this doesn't happen for me very much anymore. Definitely the people that I surround myself with now where I live, typically our relationship isn't based on, say, going out to the pub. If there is food involved, no one's judging. It's just a very unjudgmental group of people in that way. And there's not really a lot of the guys that I hang around with don't drink anymore. They've past that point in their life. They're more dedicated to family. Maybe there's a glass of wine on the weekend or whatever else, but it's not that kind of like laddie pub culture. And the same with food as well. Most people, there's a big culture down here of people like looking after themselves. So typically, if I was to order, I don't know, a steak and a salad for dinner, no one would bat an eyelid. In fact, everyone else would probably be joining me on that. That being said, in the past, obviously there has been friction, especially in my 20s. Not so much with alcohol, but with food. If I would make a healthier choice, occasionally someone would call me out. They'd be like, "Oh, Jake, why are you getting that? Why don't you get this?" Or when I was a bit older and I stopped drinking, went to my first stag do, went to my first wedding, you'd get the occasional person that would be like, "Oh, why are you getting a 0%? Like, why aren't you drinking?" To me, there's two main points here. So the first one is to be confident in your own decisions. No one else has any right to change the decisions that you want to make and the things that you're doing for yourself. The second is that if people react that way, it's often it could be due to confusion, lack of understanding. It could be to do with their own insecurities. It could be to do with the fact maybe they feel judged by your abstinence or your actions. There's lots of stuff tied up in it, but the main thing to note on that is that none of it's got anything to do with you. It's everything that's going on with them. So the most powerful thing that you can do when it comes to if you get any kind of mocking or jeering based on your decisions is be so confident and stubborn in them that people don't even have anything to say. Bullies, which we're kind of going towards that territory, bullies hone in on insecurity and weakness, right? Whereas if you're strong and confident, typically you'll find that bullies don't really give you any trouble. Not exactly the same as this, but people are sensing that weakness and they're going at it. If you are super confident and you're just like, "Oh, this is what I want to eat," it's kind of no one's going to say anything to that because it's confident, it's strong. It doesn't really leave any question about what's being done here. Someone says, "Oh, why are you getting a 0%?" "Because I don't drink." Right, okay, where do we go from there? If you're going, "Oh, go on, have a shot." "Oh, okay then, okay." It's weak, right? And you need to be confident in the decisions you've made. If you're doing it for a reason, then stick to it and be committed and be confident in that decision. You're doing it for yourself and be proud of it. Be strong in that. If anyone does want to find out more, then you can explain to them why you're doing it. Maybe you're not drinking because you got to get up for the kids or your wife's pregnant, right? You don't have to justify your actions, but maybe there is a lack of understanding there as well. So be confident, be strong in your decisions, and you will find that that stuff tends not to happen. And if it is happening, it'll happen less and less and less as people come to see it as normal. But I would also question if your friends are doing that to you, then there's maybe some reflection to take on who are your friends as well. How do you stop comparing yourself to who you used to be when life looked totally different? Beautiful. This is a really it's a difficult one. As fitness and training and movement, it's been such an important part of my life for so long. And when we had kids, you got married, work picks up, suddenly you can't dedicate as much time. You've got more responsibilities, you've got more things pulling you in different directions. And it can be a really, really hard pill to swallow. We can get into how it feels and all the intricacies, but the fact of the matter is nothing can change. Nothing's going to change, right? You still got to raise your family. You've still got to do your work. Obviously, you have some control over what that looks like. You want to be there for these people. So you can either resent it and feel shitty about it and take it out on others, or you can go, right, what does this look like? How can I optimize what I'm already doing? How can I build for the life that I have now? That is the only option you have right now. And you hear all the time when people are retired and their kids have left home, suddenly they miss the busyness. They have all the time in the world to do those things and they miss the chaos, they miss the responsibility, they miss that purpose. So I would suggest, firstly, auditing how you spend your day, right? Like, is there actually more opportunity? Is there a lot of procrastination? Are you actually making the most of the time that you do have available? Are there conversations that you can have with your partner about, this is important to me, it's going to require this amount of time? How does that feel to you? How can we fit this into the schedule? Obviously within reason. And also, how can we optimize for the now so that we feel good about it? If you want to run ultra marathons, that's going to create a lot of friction with the family, with work, because it takes so much time. Whereas if you want to do calisthenics, for example, you can get an amazing workout done in less than 30 minutes and you can do it from home. So I'm not saying you should necessarily take up calisthenics, but really assessing, like, what are the things that are important to me right now, and am I willing to make the sacrifices that that particular pursuit requires? Surfing for me, for example, I've had to change my mindset to see surfing go from surfing is thing where we're out all day and it's a 5 hour, 6 hour thing, to surfing is, right, rush to the beach, get in the water for half an hour, do what I can, and then start work or whatever else, or look after the kids or whatever the task is. So changing the mindset of what that actual activity looks like. It is difficult. I do sometimes miss those long sessions in the park doing calisthenics, those beach days where I could just get in and paddle around and float on the board all day. I miss them. I do. But I know that right now there's lots of other important things happening. I'm taking what I can and making the most of the time that I have available. And I know that those moments are there in my future at some point. So I think it's about bringing yourself to the present. There's no point dwelling in the past, to put it simply. Is it normal to feel like you're doing okay, but still not feel good in yourself? Ooh. Yes, very normal. There's many days where I don't feel good. I'm doing all the right things. I'm eating well, trying to get the sleep, working out. I still don't feel that good. What I would say on that is that every reaction has a cause. So for me, if I was to really reflect and analyze it, if I don't feel good, it probably was maybe I didn't have a great sleep last night. Or maybe I am working too long, too hard, feeling stressed. So whilst it is normal to be doing the things and to be doing okay, but just not feeling that good, deep down there probably is a cause somewhere. And it might not be as obvious as, okay, I ate junk food for the last week, or I haven't done a workout for a month. Might not be as obvious as that. It could be something keeps waking me up in the night. We live next to a pub. Maybe it's something like that. It could be I'm getting really stressed at work because I can't solve these problems, or that person's bothering me. There's many, or maybe I'm worrying about the bills and it's affecting me, stress, sleep. So there's definitely hidden reasons when you don't feel optimal. If you're taking the right actions, you should be feeling better every single day. And there's still going to be bad days, right? Not every day is perfect. However well you look after yourself, everyone knows that. But there is usually a cause. If it's a chronic feeling of, yeah, I'm just not feeling good in myself, and it's not just a short-term thing, then there is probably a cause somewhere. So I would really reflect, grab a piece of paper, go through all the components of your life and try to identify something that's actually potentially taking energy away from you and making you feel not so great. Do you ever get fed up of it all? The habits, the structure, the tracking? Oof. Okay, some great questions here today. Do I get fed up of it all? Hmm. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. You're saying all the things that we need to do. We need to do the workouts. We need to try hard. We need to eat well. We need to get to bed on time. We need to take our vitamins. We need to get our sauna in, our cold plunge, whatever else. It can be exhausting if you overcomplicate it. So I think the first thing is to separate, almost go back to the first question and separate two scenarios. The first scenario is trying to do all these different things, the layers upon layers and layers and layers and layers of complexities. If you're doing that, then yes, it's very easy to get fed up. And I would suggest reining it in and taking a step back and focusing on the average day versus like the best day where everything can happen. If we're just talking about the fact that, let's be frank, if you want to stay healthy and in shape, you have to do these things forever. You have to continue to eat well. You have to continue to sleep well. You have to continue to exercise. It never ends. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that you can go on plan and off plan, when the truth is you really do have to do this forever, and sustaining it long term is actually the most difficult part, not getting started in the first place. I don't really... Do I get fed up of it? The answer is kind of no, and the reason is that I know what it feels like to move away from those habits, and I don't want to feel like that. If I have one day where I eat junk, I don't get enough sleep, and I don't exercise, I feel like shit the next day, and I don't want to go back to that. So to me, those behaviors and habits, one, they're so ingrained that it is normal. It is the normal, so you don't really get fed up of the normal. But two, I know how good it makes me feel, and I know not so much, maybe I don't feel that good in the sense of being aware of it, but I know how it feels to regress from it and move away from it if those actions aren't in place. And to me, that is not worth it. So I don't get tired of the simple things. If I had complexity, if I was tracking every gram and I was having to do a sauna and a cold plunge and red light therapy and mobility every day and strength and cardio, then yeah, I would get fed up because it would create so much friction with my life. So if you are feeling fed up, I would first ask yourself, have you still got the all or nothing, on plan, off plan mindset? Are you adding too much complexity? If so, strip it back to the fundamentals. And have you actually given yourself enough time to build the habits, right? This might be new for you. And of course, there's going to be a bit of friction when you start something new. If it is new, you need to aim for consistency and sustainability long term so that you can dial in those habits and they become your floor, they become your foundation. That way, it becomes that new normal and things will get much easier and you won't feel like you have to stop or start because it's kind of just what you do, like brushing your teeth. Last question. What do you do when you've fallen off again and feel a bit ashamed? Okay. Once you've been doing this long enough, you don't really fall off. And that's not to say that you don't make poor choices or do things you regret, but it's to say that this life has become so normalized that all you've done is moved away from the center line and then you just spring back, almost like an elastic band coming back. You naturally return to your baseline. And your baseline is eating whole foods, doing your training, getting enough sleep. However, if you're early in this game, your baseline might be eating junk food, staying up late, not moving. So when you have an effort where you try and improve and you do feel like you've fallen off or you make a bad choice, you will go back to the baseline, which is those habits that you had before, if you haven't been doing them for enough time to move them in the right direction. There's a lot to say about this, but I want to keep this one really, really simple. Ask yourself, if you make a poorer choice, is feeling ashamed, guilty, is it actually serving you? Is it moving you back into the direction that you want to go? Obviously, the answer to that is no. So I would say, block the emotion, accept it for what it is, reflect, okay, I didn't feel good about that. So ask yourself, why did that happen? How does this feel when I make this choice? And do I want to do that ever again? Once you've answered those questions, just get back onto those habits as soon as possible. Feeling ashamed and the potential repercussions of that, which are self-sabotage, making even worse choices, giving up, where are they going to lead you? They are guaranteed to move you further away from where you want to be and make you feel even worse about yourself. So we don't want to do that. That feeling of shame and that feeling of guilt is useless to us. The only use it has is realizing it doesn't feel good and we don't want to go back there again. But it's a weird thing that humans do where when we do feel shame or guilt, we just make things worse for ourselves. We pile on the crap. We make poorer choices. So let's stop doing that and let's actually go, this feeling is not serving me. Okay, I took that action. Maybe let's understand why. But the best thing you can do is get back onto the positive habits that you were doing before that you fell off and just keep going. That is the difference between people that are successful with this and people that keep stopping and starting. It's not to do with perfection and that they're always doing it right. It's the speed that they get back on track after falling off. We do that with our clients. We help them stay accountable and we help them stay off track. And if they do fall off, we pick them back up and we figure out why it happened. That's so, so important. But we just do it as fast as possible. The faster you can do that and the faster you can self-coach yourself to do that, then the more consistent you're going to be. There's still going to be ups and downs, but they're not going to have as much of an impact because you're not self-sabotaging after those actions have been taken. Great, so we actually sped through those questions today, guys. Really, really enjoyed answering those. So anyone that posted those in, thank you so much. Just a quick update on the studio. We are making great progress. The floor is going in, this beautiful 100 square meters of Canadian maple. Big up Josh, who is laying the floor. He's my right-hand man with this, and he's doing some amazing work getting that down. We're getting the electrics in, we're getting the plumbing done, and we had Callum from Onward Vehicles, who is helping us cut out some custom pieces for the reception, for the seating, for the storage. So again, big up Callum as well. Really excited to get that together. I'm so pumped for this, guys. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long, long time. I've had my eye on that unit for the best part of 5 years. It's exciting. It's scary. There's some anticipation, but it's going to be a beautiful thing. And you guys are all welcome. If you're ever down in Cornwall and you want to train, hang out, have a coffee, the doors will be open. So watch this space, guys. Great to chat to you today and share some things with you. And I'll see you on the next one.